if you were able to talk to people in a way about finding their meaning or leading deeply meaningful lives or leading meaningful lives, what do you think would be the direct result of that?
I'm hoping with this work, and it's the same work that you're doing, that you'll alert people to what the actual problem is. So when people seek mental health treatment and it's effective, the reason is because they learn about themselves. They actually learn what the problem is in the first place so they can address it. Most people, when they're really suffering, they don't know what the problem is. If you go to the doctor and he's like, something hurts, you don't actually know what it is. The first thing the doctor does is they try to diagnose the source of your pain so they can start to treat it. When you're trying to find the source of your discontent, the melancholy that's pervading your life, the sense that all is not right, you first need to know what's going on. So I want to alert people to the fact that they don't have enough why in their life because they're not creating space in their life to ask the questions. And once they know that, you're halfway to the solution to the problem.
So you want to wave the flag and say, quiet.
Quiet down.
Quiet down.
With your
Get
discipline.
above the noise.
Yeah. And for most people, you have to be very disciplined about this.
Oh, yeah.
Because
no,
our lives, especially because we have a lot of like moms watching us. I mean, moms have no rest. I mean, everything is blocked the whole day.
What I think is that particularly women, and I found this in myself, need permission for that time.
Right.
And then they'll like, okay, well, even if I have permission, where am I going to get that time? But to give people permission that they can take a half an hour, 20 minutes, start small or whatever, in that there's the creator time, as you say, there's an actual thing and it's called the creator time, to start there, to finding your discontent.
Right. And don't waste the time. Don't waste the time. I mean, one of the questions that my students often ask me is, how do I buy happiness? The answer is buy happiness, like with money.
Yeah.
And there's an answer to that. I mean, the answer is not to buy stuff. There's literally nothing in the mall that you'll care about in a year. That's indicative of a big problem, right?
Right.
You're not going to find meaning. You're not going to find happiness with anything you buy at the mall. You can buy experiences with people that you love. You can give your money away to causes you care about. You can save it for the future, which is a beautiful thing because you're making progress. But one of the best ways is to buy time and spend it on something that's generative. Buy time. You know, it's a way to do that. Okay, so it's a little bit different than what we're talking about here. Maybe you pay somebody to cut your yard, which is great because you create a job. But you must not waste that time. Okay, so if people watching us who have little kids, for example, they find a way to get the Brahma Muhurta in their lives, to get that 20 minutes, to get that 30 minutes, the easiest thing to do is then to waste that time. And that's a big mistake. The first thing to start doing is I'm gonna get 20 minutes and I'm gonna sit in this chair and I'm gonna fold my hands and put them in my lap and I'm gonna look out the window for that 20 minutes. And it's gonna be hard. That's hard. If you haven't been bored for one single second, if you've been tearing your hair out because you're so crazy in your life, you're actually gonna find it uncomfortable to do so. And you have to do that until it starts to become beautiful and unreplaceable in your life. Don't let that slip away, because those are the moments in the default mode network of your brain when the questions of meaning are going to start to occur to you. That's when you're going to start to listen. That's when the divine is going to start to transmit to you. But you have to be still, and you have to be quiet, and you have to listen.
So you're advocating find the creator time, find the stillness, find the quiet, start asking the questions, be curious about why you are here. That's right. What matters to you.
Correct.
Right? What you're willing to die for. And that will put you on the path of finding your lane, finding your meaning, finding out what you'd give your life for, and in short or in the length of it will make you happy.
Amen. Exactly right. It works for everybody. And yet, this is not something that enough people are talking about. That's why I'm writing about it. It's why you're writing about it. That's why we're talking about it here today. That's a revolution in most people's lives. And if we could do that as a society, our society would be radically different than it is today.
If people started doing, but it's really it's so counter the way people are living their lives.
It's transgressive.
It's so counter.
Yeah.
You know, I have like dinner table conversations and my kids are like, buckle up, here we go. It's going to we're going to be here for 3 hours. Or, the art of conversation, the art of asking questions, the art of sitting, as you said, in your discomfort.
It's lost. It's lost for so many people.
But I think so many people are, and I must say I was afraid to sit in silence, because I was afraid many, many years ago of what would come up and whether I could handle what would come up. Don't people talk about that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so
it's painful.
What?
It's painful.
Painful.
It's painful a lot, right?
So I think that is the part of the problem, that we don't have enough celebration of pain.
Yeah, we don't understand how sacred our suffering is.
Yeah.
Actually. And part of the reason is because we're lied to. We're told if we're suffering, if you go to most universities, you go to the campus counseling center and you say, I'm sad and anxious, they'll say, oh, you have a problem, we have to treat that.
Yeah.
No, are you kidding me? My university, if you're not sad and anxious, then you need therapy. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. That's a normal thing. You're putting yourself under stress on purpose because you're figuring out what you're made of, and that's great. If you have a bad breakup and you're not sad, that's weird. That's a weird thing. Like your brain isn't working right. Right? And you need to confront that. You need to understand that. You need to learn from that. You need to grow from that. You need to sit in that, is what it comes down to. And when you learn how to do that, you're like, all right, bring it on.
Do you feel like I'm living a deeply meaningful life?
Yeah, I really am. And part of the reason I study what I do is because it's kind of me search as much as research. I wasn't happy enough, and I wanted to be happier. And my wife said, you have a PhD, you're a behavioral scientist. Why don't you use it to improve your life? I turn to these topics because they're hard for me. I turn to these topics because happiness doesn't come naturally to me.
Yeah.
And look, we all suffer, but the whole point is I'm kind of a melancholy person. And that's okay. But I wanted to understand the why of my life better, and I wanted to be happy along with the melancholy. I really wanted to get the why. I wanted to go deeper. And I've used the science to do so. I've used my faith in conjunction with my science to do so. And it's made my relationships better. It's the most thrilling thing is I get to teach this to, thousands and thousands of people.
And in fact, by understanding your meaning, understanding your own melancholy, your own grief, your own sadness, has brought joy, AKA happiness, to your life.
Oh yeah, it's helped me understand what deep happiness is, which is a full experience of life on earth. And I don't want to miss a single second of it.
And when you say a full experience, you're bringing in the dark and the light.
Yeah, I'm not trying to eliminate pain. Treatment of pain is different than avoiding pain. And treatment of pain is great. Avoiding pain is a bad idea.
Why?
Well, there's a lot of research on this, and trying to avoid physical pain, trying to eliminate physical pain, you'll wind up living in chronic pain. And trying to eliminate psychological pain, mental pain, emotional pain, you will live with more of it. You're inviting pain if you try to eliminate your pain. It's not normal not to have pain. It's not a normal life not to have pain. And you'll put so much effort into it that you'll be focused on it all the time. You'll have more of it, is the bottom line. Don't try to avoid or eliminate it. Treat it by understanding it and to a large extent accepting it. That's your life. Do you want to miss your life? No, it's a huge adventure, right? Including the bad parts.
So we need it seems to me, an entire new language or narrative around what comprises
happiness.
A fully happy life.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
And we need to up-level boredom, quiet, pain, suffering, grief, trauma, joy, all of it, put it in a mixing bowl and go, that's it.
You got it. We need to look at, again, we talked about life as an enterprise.
Yeah.
Life is an adventure. That's part of the adventure. When you talk to entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, about where did they learn the most? When did they understand the essence of their success the most? They always talk about something bad that happened. They never tell you about, oh yeah, I made my first $1 million and I went on vacation to Ibiza. No, they talk about, oh, it almost killed my marriage. I went bankrupt 3 times. I had to dip into my kid's college fund. I was so ashamed when I got kicked out of college because I was doing this thing. They talk about suffering because it's so unbelievably valuable. That's a constituent part of their why. And we can't be afraid of that.
And you also kind of get in touch with suffering through your faith.
Yeah, and I'm a Christian, and it's funny because people who don't understand anything about Christianity, they think it's so weird. It's like we worship a guy who's dying.
Right.
We worship
and who suffered.
Suffered more than any of us ever will suffer.
And I also think that Mary doesn't get the credit she deserves.
Totally.
Because talk about
His blessed
suffering.
mother.
Yeah.
Watching her son die. On a device of torture. Imagine this.
Yeah.
And we say, okay, Lord, give me wisdom. Lord, give me peace. Why would he have the credibility? Why would his blessed mother have the credibility to do that? Because of their suffering, right? And yet we don't want that credibility because we don't want to go through the suffering.
Because we're afraid.
Because we're afraid. Because we're afraid. Exactly right. And it is no indignity to suffer. On the contrary, it's necessary, it's beautiful, it's good. But we have to come to that understanding, and that understanding only comes when we're confronting the questions of why in our life and actually living with the full experience of what life is going to bring us.